Hi, welcome to Whatever. Today I'm going to be doing a solo episode. Why? Because I like the topic. My son doesn't really care. I am Dragon Pat, and today I want to talk to you about train simulation games. Two of them in particular. Let's see, hold on for a second. Let me move that window to the other side. Okay, there we go. No, I'm not going to be pulling these up so you can watch screenshots and such. Why? Because I'm nothing good. But there's two games I want to talk to you about. Railroad Tycoon and Railroad Corporation. Railroad Tycoon has been around for a long time. Railroad Tycoon 3, I think, is the last version of the game that came out. It's a really depending on the level you play, it can get even more complicated and more twisted than normal. Railroad Corporation. Well, I just started this one up the other day. Played it now for 2 days, and I'm still trying to get the hang of it. What you're basically doing is you're going to be building a railroad, a train. And you're going to service an area. Railroad Tycoon, your goal is generally to get from one side of the country to the other, or one side of the map to the other side of the map. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Why? Because you got to take your terrain into account. Going up a mountain, rough on trains. Going down a mountain, rough on trains. Going around a mountain, costs more track. The transportation of goods and services. You've got people. You've got this town here needs wheat. That town there needs steel. Steel is made for this, and this, and this. All of these things are taken into account when you play a railroad game. Now, there are basically two types of railroad games in my book. You have the railroad and you have public transportation games. Public transportation games are ones where you're providing, like the subway or other forms of public transportation in a city. You're only moving people. Railroad games tend to look at goods and services and moving people. And so as you start playing these games, you start seeing that, okay, in Railroad Tycoon, people move between every city. Mail runs between every city. But the different goods and services vary from city to city. Same thing applies whenever you're looking at Railroad Corporation. The Railroad Corporation game, though, not all cities are looking for people. Not all cities have access people. Not all cities have post offices. These are things that, as I'm playing this game, I'm realizing this makes this game a little bit more complicated. If you're looking for games, number one, if you're Sheldon and you like railroads, either one of these games are good. Railroad Tycoon 3, I played almost all the way up until the third major era. As you go through in time, the quality of your trains improve. Your first train doesn't move a lot of power. Doesn't have a lot of power, so it won't move a lot of freight. As you increase in years, the ability of the technology increases. All of these things combine to give you, well, when you start out in Railroad Tycoon, your first tracks are, you can't really build bridges across certain types of water because your bridges aren't strong enough. Then you start looking at single track versus double track. If this is the type of thing that sounds interesting to you, and evaluating routes so that you can determine how to get the goods and services from the different cities to help improve the economy overall, then these are the games for you. Both of them seem to be very complicated and allow a lot of discretion on what you're doing. Both games also have a free play mode so that you don't have to worry about, you got to get your track from Boston to San Francisco in so many years. Deliver one good or service between that time frame. It removes the time constraints and requires you, it gives you that freedom to just play and learn. That along with that free play, you have the missions. One of the first missions you play in Railroad Tycoon requires you to build a track from Boston to Buffalo. Should sound easy, except the fact that you've got a huge valley running right through the middle of your map. So you've got to figure out how to lay your map, lay your tracks, run the routes necessary to keep business coming, keep your money coming, because you're not given enough money to go from point A to point Z without making a profit. You've got to slowly work your way up. And that's where you get your challenge. Now, I've been playing train games for a little over a couple decades. I've always thought it's been an interesting challenge to me to try to figure out, okay, what do I do first? And for example, the map I was talking about from Boston to Buffalo. I usually start over around Boston. Why? Because if I can get from Boston to New York City, I've got good traffic. I do smaller tracks, smaller groupings, so that I can generate income, and then I slowly start working my way up towards Buffalo, incorporating as much as I can below, so that I can keep making a profit until I can finally get the track all the way up to Buffalo, running that track and generating income. Now, the great thing that I've seen so far in that game, Railroad Tycoon, is once you've achieved your objective, you don't have to quit. You can keep going. See if you can get your tracks running to every city, moving your income. Basically, free play with that you've already in a situation you've already started. Railroad games, to me, are a lot of fun. They're part of an entire genre of games where, I mean, you've got railroad games, you've got airplane games, you've got shipping games, how you need to ship goods and services throughout different parts of the world by boat. All of these things are designed on the same idea of getting the job done according to what you have and building up. As a way to spend some time and kill a little bit of time, it's a great way to relax in my book. Now, yes, my favorite types of games are role-playing games and first-person shooters. But this type of simulation game is something that I do find very challenging and very interesting. So as you're sitting there and you're trying to decide something to kill a little bit of time, look up these games. Give one of them a try. Play around with it for a little bit. If you don't like the complexity, try a different version. If you do enjoy the complexity and you enjoy the game, I hope that you, and I hope you will, then I've done a good deed today. I've helped introduce new people to new games. If you like trains in general, these games are great because they show a history. Because the trains that are available in the very beginning of the game versus what is available later on goes to the time frames. And you get to pick and choose. You get to learn a little bit about the different types of trains that were used, from the old coal burners to the diesels of today, and even to the new electric trains. All of this, good way to spend some time. This has been Dragon Pat. Today's topic was train simulation games. So on whatever today, hope you had a good time. Hope you've enjoyed today's topic. If you did, hit that like button, share it, hit the subscribe button. Don't know what we'll be talking about next, but we do try to keep things interesting. It's just whatever comes along. Today, what came along was some trains.